This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 34 of Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we're going to discuss trailering tips, the omega fatty acids, the culprit behind Lyme disease, and a follow-up on the products we have tried.
Hey, Tig.
Hey, Patty P.
What
Jennifer?
are you doing?
Yes, yeah. Excuse the chewing.
I told you we were going to talk to you.
Well, I still had a mouthful of carrot.
All right, my bad.
It was a big bite.
It was my bad. Well, then let's direct our conversation towards Tigger. You just got home. You're back from the crazy belly world.
From Welly World, and I went through a very scary experience driving home.
What? What happened?
I had just crossed the border from Georgia into South Carolina, and I was in the left-hand lane. I was doing 80 miles an hour, naturally.
Yeah.
And I saw up ahead there was like a little brush fire, like just the grass was burning, and
interesting.
it was a little black, and I didn't think anything of it. And I mean, seconds later, I guess because of the trucks and things that had passed,
And blowing.
suddenly it was billowing this dark black smoke.
Oh, wow.
And I hit that, and I had no idea who was in front of me.
Are you
behind.
serious? Oh, that's scary.
I had about 3 seconds of just a mantra of trust.
Wow.
Okay. And I got out of it, and I think I had heart palpitations for
I
another
bet you
couple
did.
of miles.
Oh my gosh, that is true. Was it obviously it was still light out, right?
It was still light,
Okay.
and I don't know whether somebody threw something, a lit cigarette or something out the window, because
Yeah.
it was a very small area as I was approaching, and then something
just took
caught
off.
fire, and it just went.
That's crazy. Yeah. I've had not smoke experiences, but there's a lot of fog here. In fact, sometimes, Tigger, when I'm talking to you in the very, very early morning, you will hit patches of fog, and it's exactly what you were talking about, except obviously it's not black, which I feel like that would be scarier. And you're just like, I hope I can see in a couple seconds because this isn't going to be good. And
I couldn't see the front of my car.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You just feel like you're in a cloud or
Yes,
obviously
but
a black
it's so
cloud.
dense, and it smells of burn. It has
Oh,
that burn smell.
yeah.
And it gave me a real appreciation for
Seeing?
for the wildfires that just killed all those animals in the panhandle. And
Oh God, that
Oklahoma.
is just horrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's so horrible. And then the wildfires that, people in the West deal with,
Yeah.
especially in a drought,
Yeah.
when it just roars up these hillsides. And now I get it.
Yeah. That's just, well, thank God you were right.
Yeah. And thankfully there was nobody in front of me, because even though I slammed on the brakes, I didn't know where they were.
Well, and then what do? How do you know to creep out? Then
And I didn't know who was behind me
and
that would
just-
also not
yeah.
see me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, scary. Well, thank God you're all right. Ah.
Bugs Bunny
was-
come to visit?
It's the Tigger noise.
Going after your carrot.
Yeah, going after. That's right. So what's new in your world, Jennifer, besides your carrot?
Besides my carrot, which has now been fully consumed. Thank you very much, ladies. Let's see, what's new around here? Glenn's off doing Road to the Horse as we record.
Cool.
So he has left me here at the Ocala Brain Center of Horse Radio Network all alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do something bad.
Oh my goodness! But
Yeah, but she has to live with them. We don't.
yeah, there
Oh,
you
good point. Good
go.
point.
Good point. So,
Well, your parents were just in, right? Weren't your parents?
yes, my mother and my stepdad were down for a week last week. Was it 10 days ago? A while back. He was there a little
Yeah.
while back, and we had
Right.
a lovely visit. We went out and watched Live Oak for a little bit because the Live Oak combined driving event was in town the same weekend. So we did that, and we dragged them down to Port Canaveral, and we went and saw the Space Center, which is a lot of fun. Looked at rockets and all sorts of space things.
That is fun.
I love that. But it's a little salty. $50 a ticket.
Wow. That's a little steep.
It's a little steep, but I guess rockets cost a lot, and they have a lot of them. So
okay.
Well, right. Disney World isn't that like $100?
Yeah, Disney World's $100.
Jeez, are you serious?
Yeah,
it's $100 a ticket.
Yeah, a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The kids just went down. My daughter Hannah is in Florida or in Wellington right now. My other daughter lives there, and they went to go to Harry Potter World. Those were fun. Some fun Snapchats to get, but I think maybe has an annual ticket.
Yes.
The
annual pass it's a little bit less expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well,
that's it. So, we're cruising along, Road to the Horse. Rolex will be coming up shortly, so we'll have another road trip back up to Kentucky again. Yeah, look forward to that. Fun. Yeah. So that's what's going on here at Horse Radio Network Central.
Well, and we're going to just kind of do something bad, so Glenn just wants to know that he can't be away, right?
I've already told him that. I've already told him that can't happen. Last time he went away, one of the multiple computer programs that we use to run the morning show broke.
Oh, not good.
3 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this time when he went away, we had 4 guests, so I have to run back and forth between our 2 studios to call guests. One studio operates the sound system, and the other studio operates the ability to call guests. So I run back and forth.
Oh. Well, sounds like you need a raise.
Yeah. Well, one of the guests was in Dubai. Cool, right? That's so cool.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Well, unfortunately, we had to call a landline, and we had to call the hotel. When we call a landline overseas, we have to do it live on the air. So everybody gets to hear us calling, which is fine. We don't mind that.
Right.
Well, the problem was I had to go through the front desk at the hotel, which means the whole universe would hear what hotel he was staying in and what room number he was in. I didn't really want to do that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Well, I didn't know this until the show was going. So I'm running. So I have to call him off the air. And the only way to call him off the air is on the cell phone. And the cell phone only works on the front deck of the house. So I had to walk out the front deck.
Oh my gosh.
It was a complete fiasco.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
Completely total cluster, the whole show.
Wow.
Yeah, so I told Glenn, I'm sorry, you can't go away anymore.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that's been my life this week. So I'm so glad to sit here and have a glass of wine and do Healthy Critters because it's.
See, there you go. I knew I forgot something.
So what was your week like, Patty P?
Yeah, tell us about your week.
Oh boy, well, it's just been interesting in a way, just a little bit too much to mention. But there's something going on. As Tigger, you would say, something's going on in the universe here. There's just been a lot of different things. I can't remember if last time when we had the show, if I think I was getting ready to go down to Florida, and then I always call him a stallion. I gelded him last year. He's not a stallion, but my horse Stu was trying to outdo his son in the field that was quite frankly acting like a jackass. And I'm not talking about the animal jackass. And Stu was like, oh yeah, I can do that. I'm going to be the cool father. And somehow he hurt himself, which is obviously a very common thing that can happen to horses in the field. And so he didn't end up getting to go because it was just enough of an injury that put him off. But so that's been kind of disappointing. So Hannah had to go down by herself, and she starts training in about a week with Robert when he gets back from Omaha. So it's just been kind of crazy. Just been crazy. Lots of different things. So,
but you did have a vacation.
I did have a vacation. Went to the Caymans with very, very good friends of ours. They were taking my son Ray down because he had spring break because I was supposed to be in Florida. And when they realized that I wasn't going to go right away, they said, why don't you come down with us? So we went down, and I got to swim with dolphins, and that was the most amazing thing. Oh my gosh. It was so amazing. Just learning about them and how similar all training techniques and stuff are with all animals, just fascinating. So that was a lot of fun. So it was a good trip.
So in light of the fact that, Jennifer, you had an interesting experience with your horse trailering, I thought it was a perfect opportunity. We discuss our tips for trailering. Maybe you'd like to tell everybody what exactly Nigel got into.
Oh, everybody's asking. I kind of regret putting that picture up. Literally, everybody's asking. Nigel came to me with trailer loading issues. I knew
Always
that.
a bad sign.
Yeah.
But I was okay. I was okay with that. I felt very comfortable that we could get through it. And a year into his life with me, I've had him exactly a year. We have made huge strides. Much, 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 much better. But I made the mistake when we went to the horse park, with the Florida horse park this past weekend. It was the first time that Nigel and Scooter got to travel together. We have never hauled them together. They are both bad loaders and they're both bad haulers.
Oh, good.
So we thought, we need to work out some things before we put them together, And we felt pretty confident. And lo and behold, Scooter was a rock star. Yay. And on the way home, I thought I'd get really clever and put Scooter in the trailer first. On the way out, we put Nigel in first. On the way back, I thought, let's put Scooter in first. He's being a little rock star. He walks right onto the trailer and he stands there and he eats his hay, so that Nigel will be extra motivated to get in, because that's where Nigel's bugaboo is getting in and staying in. Well, I didn't think
staying in is good.
Staying in is good.
Yes.
I didn't think it through. And long story short, he bashed his head on the edge of this roof of the horse trailer. Yeah. Pretty hard. I think we had about a 2.0 on the Richter scale.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But we got him home safely and soundly. And the picture I posted on Facebook, which is really kind of a funny picture, is really a giant ice pack. Because when he got home, it's about a half an hour drive back. When he got home, it looked like somebody had cut a golf ball in half and attached it to the front of his head. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I thought, we need some ice here, because I was concerned that he had chipped something in his skull. It's just below his eye, right where their sinuses are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like, something might be broken in
there.
there.
And a very sensitive place.
Yes, a very sensitive place. I was concerned about the swelling. So the only way I could hold the ice pack there was to wrap it up with a vet wrap. So he has an entire pea green vet wrap wrapped around his head, holding his ice pack on. And he was utterly and thoroughly embarrassed. Yeah.
Says his mother.
And it's not the first time he's bashed his head on the roof of the horse trailer. And I'm sure it won't be the last.
Yeah.
So that's Nigel's story in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny that we're talking about this, because yesterday we had a mare that was sold and was leaving the farm, and this was Tigger, when I was telling you all of my stuff, and you were like, whoa. Well, this is one other thing that happened. Is this very, very lovely lady is buying this horse that the owners of the farm where I'm at have bred. She's 5 years old. Hannah's shown her, my daughter, a couple of times, done really quite well. So she's been off the farm and in and out of trailers several times. When you're selling a horse, especially if they're young ones. I mean, as you know, Tigger, when we were at Farfield, I always made sure all of those horses got on and off the trailer without any stress. So when someone came and got them, that they were just like, and I would take them around our little circular driveway, and just so they would have all these good experiences. So, you think a horse has been to a horse show several times, I think it's been 3 times. You just, of course, a horse trailer is no big deal. So she came in her trailer, and we had just a bunch of stuff going on at the farm, and she started to pull out. She walked right in like the good girl that she was. Now, literally, keep in mind, she just handed the check over to the people, signed the contract, put the horse in the trailer. Just handed the check to the people. Okay. She pulls out and she scrambles. And I thought, that's a little weird. She doesn't do that. And I just said, whoa, stop. Let me make sure everything's okay. So we stopped and looking, and she's a little wide-eyed and breathing. I was like, okay, mommy, it's, you're doing okay. And everything seems fine. I looked to see, because sometimes there's wasp nests, and this would be one of my trailering things to think of, is that, because this has happened to me, where you put a horse in and, that's been sitting there, even if it's been a week or 2 in the summer, you got to check for these things. And nothing there. Nice big trailer, really, thought out trailer. Said, okay, she seems fine. Just, whatever. Went to pull out again. And when I tell you that horse sat down, at one point I thought, holy crap, she's going to fall right out the back of the trailer. I mean, it wasn't, in all of my years, this was not a small thing. And okay, so at this point, then we go back, we go stand with her, and she's, now she ripped, it was a nylon halter with a leather piece on the top, but ripped part of the nylon, broke the thing off the wall, the welding part. And honestly, no, it was to the likes of which I've never seen. And the thing is, you would stop, she would be fine. You would move, she was not. Now, at this point, all of the horses that were about 20 minutes in from being brought in for dinner thought, well, this was a great thing, because now there's something really loud going on. And this is right in front of our German walker, where we have 4 horses, one of which is recuperating from an injury, all tails above their head, pushing against the, and we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 horses running around like flipping idiots as this mare is, caused. Anyway, we eventually, what we realized, we collectively all had to sit there and decide what to do and think about it. But what we realized, she'd never been trailered by herself. So we just took her off the trailer, got her calmed down, put another horse on the trailer. She got on and she was fine. And, it's that situation could have so easily gone the wrong way. But isn't that amazing? And she got to her farm. She was fine. She would walk on the trailer, walk off the trailer. She'd get on we had her go on and off probably 4 or 5 times just to see if she was afraid of the trailer. It literally was just putting the other horse on the trailer that calmed her down.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Yeah, it was what was kind of cool was sitting there with all of these different, horse minds. Going, okay, well, what about this or what, and just kind of getting to the point of figuring out what it was and how to handle it, to make sure that this poor woman who literally had just handed the check over, and this woman, bless her heart, she handled it beautifully.
Yeah, I think I'd be freaking out at that point. I'm going to break my brand new horse.
And she's like, I want to return her. And she was really being very funny. And anyway, but all turned out fine. So kind of bizarre. Yeah.
Wow. It is funny how something that seems trivial or subtle or like really can set a horse off, and you just have to take the time to think it through and go, what is changed? What's different? And in the case of Nigel bashing his head on the roof, it was my screw up that really caused it, because I had the partition closed on one side. He normally loads with the partition the whole way open because there's nobody else in the trailer. And that little thing, when he got into the trailer, it touched him on the shoulder, and he went, freak out, I'm out of here. And that was that,
Yep.
It's like, really? And it touches you all the time when you're inside the trailer. But
yeah, it's just, you got to listen to them. We don't think they're talking, but they are truly talking to us. So kind of cool. All right, Tiggy, do you want to tell me a good story? Why don't you tell me a story about your Taj Mahal? Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you just talk about that trailer?
Wait a minute, I want to know about Taj Mahal first.
Yeah, I know she was probably thinking, I didn't expect that.
Because I have a Craigslist trailer, so I want to hear about the Taj Mahal.
I will just tell you, the very first time I met Tiggarella, Tiggapedia.
I didn't have it then.
The
first time we met, I didn't have it.
No, you're right. This was when we were in Orlando. Yeah. I was still living in New Jersey, just to give you an idea of, I didn't have Phoebe or Hannah, and we were in Venice, and we were both training with Barbara Silverman, and we went
we're not in Venice. Oh,
no, Ocala.
Orlando.
Yeah, sorry, Ocala. Sorry. Yeah. Because we had been in Venice before. But anyway, so Tigger and we did, God, wasn't that just the best time? We just had the best time. And we went to this horse show, and I don't even remember. I'm sure you had just bought Lion, I think. And because you didn't have, I can't remember the mare's name.
Panga and Lion.
Yeah. And so we did the show, and then we decided that we were going to drive back together, because she was going to Virginia and I was going to Jersey. So I was just going to follow her up 95. But what I didn't know was the size of her trailer. Didn't it have a washing machine in it?
And dryer.
Okay. This thing's huge.
In the horse trailer. That?
Yeah, it's like 40 feet long.
It's 40 feet, and it's steel.
It's steel.
It's like a bridge.
Wow.
I would drive a car on that and know I was fine. I mean, if anybody hit
I mean,
that
we
thing,
bought it. It was already, when we bought it, it was already, I think, 12 years or 13 years old.
and isn't it? What's the name of the brand of it? It's a
Oh my God, I don't remember.
Marapow.
No, it
ME?
wasn't a Merhow.
It was something that, like, when we were growing up, we always remembered, but it, like, I couldn't think of it now because I'm sure it's not in business
But
anymore.
it had living quarters and, this, washer dryer. It had remember the roll top desk?
Oh God,
A
it was
roll-top
Jennifer.
desk.
It is the most Tigger. I would love to see that thing again because but it had a washer dryer. It had a washer and a dryer. Do you realize
you can get that in your horse trailer now?
Well, I'm sure you can get anything you want for a cost,
yeah.
but I mean, it was just like it. But I just remember your truck. Every time you hooked it up, your truck just weaked.
And I had a dually, which I still have that truck.
Okay, that's hysterical.
1988 Ford dually.
Oh my gosh, that
What is it, a
so
450?
Yeah.
I would think so.
It's a 450.
Wow.
Well, I guess it would have to be because I mean, literally,
be.
you couldn't move that trailer empty without anything in the washer,
Now,
and without
please tell me it has an electric jack to get it up and down.
No.
No,
had
the
to
horse
crank it?
rode in the back. Oh, yeah, you had to crank it onto
Yeah.
the bed. Yep.
Zousers!
Yeah.
Arnold
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger, girl.
It's funny that you say that because I used to call her one horse Arnetta because it was a mare. Remember that?
Wow, that's crazy. So
No, it was
this is what we're gonna do because we're gonna wrap this up with our stories up with some tips. So Tigger, what would you recommend?
Don't buy an all metal trailer.
Go lightweight. That's your
40
tip.
feet long.
Okay.
okay.
Your tip is too much. Bigger is not necessarily better. Okay, that's your tip.
Okay, my tip, my quick tip for trailering in the heat is you put ice on the floor, and it helps keep their feet cool when it gets hot.
Floor?
Yeah, you get several bags of ice.
Yeah,
and helps keep their feet cool. So if you get stopped in traffic or whatever, it can't. I mean,
slide around.
No, not if you appropriately put shavings down.
Oh, so you throw it in, you like sprinkle it into the shavings.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you put lots of shavings in so it will absorb when it melts.
Yeah, but it just keeps everything cooler because, as you know,
interesting.
Yeah,
Huh.
I've been doing it for years.
Interesting. How about that? There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
And what's your tip?
My tip is teach your horse to drink water when he goes away.
Yeah,
and you really can teach a horse to drink.
Oh, that's cool.
There you go. If you go online and Google it, you can teach him the horse to drink. There's something that's a homemade thing called sweet water, which is very, very popular with the endurance riders. I don't know if other disciplines use it or not, but it's basically a powdered rice bran supplement, and you mix it with the water, and I guess it makes it taste particular. But you can use anything that your horse loves and teach your horse to drink when they're away from home, and that's my tip because, boy, is that doggone.
That's a good, it's funny. I've never even thought of that in all the years I've been trailering.
Or get yourself a horse hydrator.
I was just going to say that, and I was going to, Well,
for people like me, I don't go overnight with my horse typically. So I bring water from home, which he loves just fine. But even when it's water from home, when he's away from home, he tends to be a little bit of a worrier away from home. He doesn't want to drink. So I'm in the process of, and you practice at home, teaching him that when you put certain things in the bucket, I'm going to suck it up because it's just so yummy I can't resist.
Yeah.
And
that's smart.
Yeah, I taught Scooter too when I didn't think about it. When we were at the horse park, I filled up a whole 5-gallon bucket of water, and I sprinkled some alfalfa in the top because that's all it takes for Scooter. That's his favorite thing. Well, I didn't think about the fact that it was a 5-gallon bucket because typically when Scooter goes by himself, I have a little tiny pail. It holds 1.5 gallons. He's a 13-hand pony. And he'll suck it right to the bottom because he knows there are bits of oats laying in the bottom of it. So he just sucks it right down. Well, I put this 5-gallon bucket out, and Scooter and Nigel would share it because they like to share their water bucket. Well, he stuffed his face in there, and he's going, dang, I'm going to drink this down so I can get to the treats in the bottom. It was a 5-gallon bucket.
Oh, that's so funny.
And you can see him. He was like expanding like a water balloon trying to suck this 5-gallon
Jeez, that is so funny.
And Nigel's going, well, what's he so excited about? I would stick my face in there too. So
yeah, wait a minute.
Nigel head and little tiny Scooter head shoving into the bottom of the bucket.
Okay, that's really funny.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, you know
And,
how puppies do when you put the bowl of puppy food out and the puppies all get in?
yes,
It
and
was
they
like
all
that.
get in there.
It was
Oh,
funny.
that is so funny.
It's also important to use Gastrogard if you're going to a show for trailering, and
Mhm.
I really believe in probiotics to keep the gut okay because it's a lot of stress when they get on a trailer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to start doing that with Nigel, because going on a trip 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away, drive there, go for a walking trail ride for a couple of hours, and driving back, the next day that horse has lost 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we walked, and the weight just literally melts. So I need to start doing that, because then it takes 2 weeks to get it all back.
Exactly.
You know? So I need, what probiotic should I be using? Help.
Biostar's Bioflora.
Now, is Bioflora a paste that I stick in, or is it something I put in
No,
food?
it's a powder you put in his food.
Powder I put in his food. And is it something I can use just when we travel? Because
Just
we
when
only
you
do it
need
once
it.
in a while?
Yep.
Okay. Gonna put that on the list. Bioflora. Okay, there we go. And we're gonna wrap up this discussion about trailering stories and trailering tips.
Yes.
And we're gonna get a hold of Hedwig.
Hey!
Hetty.
Hetty!
Hello, Tigger and Patty and Jennifer.
We thought we'd hit on a topic today that probably will not elicit much of an emotional response, because I know it's been stressful for you over the winter here. What we want to know
Yes.
is there are a lot of chat these days about dental care for dogs, and we want to find out two things. Where do you stand on dental care for dogs? Do you prefer the toothbrush and toothpaste or the chewy method? And I want to know if that differs from how your human feels about doggy dental care.
Well, I myself take a chew with great enthusiasm. So my favorite is a bone of any kind. I will just chew on a bone for a long time until it's gone, basically. Or one of those nice gamma nylon bones with the little nubbins on them. Oh, delicious and delightful. Oh, my goodness. And those keep my teeth beautiful. When I go to the veterinarian, he always is impressed by the quality of my teeth, because as you might or perhaps might not know, small dogs who have been miniaturized have big teeth for small mouths and often have early tooth loss. So my teeth are perfect, and I've lost no teeth, and they're very clean, and I have never had to have them cleaned by the veterinarian because of my chewing.
So
Well,
you
that's good.
you obviously prefer the chewy method. Obviously, the natural
Yes.
method.
Mhm.
Yes, that's how Mother Nature intended
Yes.
your teeth to be cleaned. Now, are your doggy siblings on the same page?
Well, so my sister is a little older than I am, and she has a little different shaped face, and she was not treated very well before she came to our current servant, where, to be frank, we're not treated that well either, but it's a lot better than it was. And so she doesn't have that many teeth at all. She didn't have very many when she came, but she does still have, she sort of gums a chew, and she aggressively will defend it with her very life. So I think she would definitely, if she were to have her teeth brushed, she would wonder why. And also why on earth anybody would be brushing her two teeth. So I think that it's probably just better to give her a greenie or a chew toy and just walk away.
I see.
Okay.
And the gerbil, I mean, he does nothing but chew all day long.
Okay.
On everything. Like earlier, he was just chewing on the wall.
Oh dear.
Yeah, at the barn, just lying upside down, chewing on the wall. That's the sort of thing I have to deal with.
I'm sorry to hear that, Hedwig.
It just sounds tough.
Yeah, it does. But thank you very much for enlightening us regarding
Yes.
dental care for dogs, and how strongly you feel about keeping your teeth shiny and white and healthy. And I'm so glad you have that opportunity.
I dedicate a lot of time. So, yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye, Hedwig.
Bye, Hetty.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, so we are at the Tigopedia section of our show, and I think we have a really good topic in question today, Tigger, because I know a lot of people think they understand this. I want to ask you about omega-3, 6, and 9 and how you find them, why we feed them. I want to know every little thing in 3 minutes or less. Go.
So omega-3 and 6 are essential fatty acids. And
Okay, so what does that mean? Sorry, I'm just going to cut you right off. Okay, tell me. Okay.
So essential fatty acids are what the body can't make. Omega-9 is not considered essential because the body makes its own omega-9.
Okay.
So 3 and 6 are, in layman's terms, anti-inflammatory and pro-inflammatory. So omega-6 is pro-inflammatory and omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. However, you need both.
Right.
If you don't have enough omega-6, for horses and for humans, it can affect brain health, cardio health, and it's important to have a balance. The problem is that oftentimes commercial feeds, because grains are so high in omega-6, will have more omega-6 than omega-3. So a wild horse or a horse that lives out 24/7 is getting omega-3s and 6 from grass and hays. And grass and hays generally have a 2-to-1 omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. So that's a pretty ideal ratio.
Okay.
But when you start feeding commercial feeds, that ratio can start getting a little inverted. And depending on how long the hay is stored, it will also reduce the amount of omega-3s in the hay. So there are some researchers, nobody knows for sure what is the ideal ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. For me, minimally, it's 2-to-1. There is some scientists and veterinarians who think it should be as high as 4 or 5-to-1, omega-3 to 6. So if a horse is primarily stalled and turned out maybe a couple hours a day, they're probably not getting enough omega-3s. And that's when you want to supplement with flax or chia. Fish oil is another option. I'm not a big fan of it for horses because it's non-intuitive to me. And there's a real problem now with how fish oil is processed and what the levels of mercury are. And
Right.
so a plant source just seems like a more
safer
and an herbivore friendly kind of food. Now, I love chia. I love flax. Chia has some other benefits than flax. It helps slow the digestion of carbohydrates in the GI tract because it's very mucilagenic. And because it's very mucilagenic, it works like psyllium. So it helps clear the gut of sand and debris.
Right. Nature's broom.
Nature's broom. So you don't need to add psyllium on top of chia.
Okay.
So my pick is chia, but flax is an equally excellent source of omega-3 for horses. Now, in addition to this is camelina oil. And right now, camelina meal has not been approved by the FDA for livestock. It's only been approved for chickens so far.
Okay.
But it, again, provides that ideal ratio of 3, 6, and 9.
Okay.
Fortunately, the oil we can give, it's high in omega-3, low in omega-6, and offers a 1-to-1 of omega-9. The advantage of camelina is it's very high in vitamin E. It's one of the richest sources of vitamin E.
Okay.
Generally, you don't have to supplement omega-6, but some of the common omega-6 foods would be sunflower. People who like to feed black oil sunflower seeds, it's a great food. It's a good source of vitamin E, but you will need to make sure that you're feeding more omega-3s, especially if your horse is not on pasture. And in the winter, of course, the omega-3 content goes down in most grasses.
And so and that's when you would want to supplement with like cannellina oil, right?
With either camelina oil or with chia or with flax.
Okay.
Other sources are oats, high omega-6, corn, barley, the grains, wheat are going to be high omega-6. I'm not a fan of soy. It provides 3, 6, and 9 because it's genetically modified.
Right.
Same with canola. Now, hemp seed oil is higher in omega-6 than omega-3. So the advantage of hemp seed oil is the GLA, the gamma-linolenic acid, which reduces inflammation in the gut.
Right.
But you still need to balance that omega-3, 6. So it's always good when you're using hemp oil to add some chia or flax, or, make sure the horse is on, pasture, a good 8 to 10 hours a day.
Right.
So 3 and 6 are essential. 9 is not.
But it's nice to have a good balance.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is in most, most foods that horses eat, real horse feed like hay and grass, and they contain 3, 6, and 9.
Great. Okay, cool. So I think I understand this better, and I'm certain I will be asking you this again.
Can we go over this again tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, I always like my little texts.
You mean you didn't take notes?
Well, no, I was trying to take it all in. And actually, in some of it, I remember from my last Ticopedia question, which is about oil.
What oil? You kind of have this thing for oil, don't you, Patty?
I love hemp oil. I used to tell Tigger it was like manna from heaven. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many benefits to it if you use the right stuff. My horse is on camelina oil, and because Tigger told me to, so I did it. Yeah. So yes, I do. You're right.
There you go.
So here we are at Critter Nutrition, and today we're going to talk about the real culprit behind Lyme disease. 2 researchers in the Hudson River Valley have identified an early warning system for Lyme disease. They can predict how many cases there will be in a year in advance by looking at one key measurement: count the white-footed mice the year before. Mm-hmm. Mice are highly efficient transmitters of Lyme. They infect up to 95% of the ticks that feed on them. Mice are responsible for infection of the majority of ticks carrying Lyme in the Northeast. One of the researchers, Rick Ostfeld, points out, ticks love mice. An individual mouse might have 50, 60, even 100 ticks covering its ears and face. Lyme disease cases in humans in the U.S. more than doubled from 2001 to 2015. One of the reasons for this Lyme explosion, according to Rick Ostfeld, is climate change and the surge in mice populations. But another huge factor, according to Ostfeld, is what happened 200 years ago. When the Europeans came to this continent, they clear-cut nearly all the forests to plant crops and raise livestock. They also cleared trees for commercial use, including shipbuilding, masts, and for houses and firewood. In her book, Barkskins by Annie Prolix, she highlights the destruction of North America old-growth forests by the French and English colonists. To build one English ship took 20 acres of pine trees. Although the forests have come back in places, it is not the same forest it was 200 years ago. Today, the forest is broken into little pieces with roads, farms, and housing developments. Areas of patchy woods, which are common in cities and suburban areas, are not the forests that support predators. These areas are now known as fragmented forests, which have been a boom for the mice because predators such as foxes, hawks, and owls need big forests to survive. According to the researchers, all these little patches of forest dotting the Northeast have basically turned into Lyme factories, spilling over with infected ticks. Forest patches smaller than 3 acres had an average of 3 times as many ticks as did larger fragments and 7 times more infected ticks. According to the National Science Foundation, as many as 80% of the ticks in the smallest patches were infected, the highest rate that scientists have seen. The ticks may also be infected with other emerging diseases. One study suggests that increasing the size of forests and avoiding fragments smaller than 5 acres could help reduce the spread of Lyme. Lyme disease is caused by the bacterium Borrelia burgdorferi. Ticks get infected with this bacterium from a host. The most prolific hosts are white-footed mouse, eastern chipmunks, and shrews. White-footed mice are the principal natural reservoirs for Lyme disease bacteria. They infect between 40 and 90% of tick-feeding larvae. Ticks have 3 stages: larva, nymph, and adult. When ticks hatch into larvae, the bacteria that causes Lyme disease is not present. But for the larva to grow into a nymph, it needs blood. If it gets its blood meal from a mouse, the larva picks up the bacteria. The larva grows into a nymph and waits for its next host so it can get a blood meal necessary to grow into an adult. Interestingly, larvae that feed on mice are more likely to survive, thereby capable of transmitting Lyme bacteria 1 year later. So while we often blame the deer for ticks and spreading Lyme disease, the white-footed mouse is the major carrier of the bacterium. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences 2012 looked at 4 states with a high prevalence of the disease: Minnesota, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Where there were fewer foxes, there were higher numbers of Lyme disease. The researchers also looked at coyotes, who have tended to displace foxes. Where there are more coyotes, the fox population falls, which means an increase in more white-footed mice. Coyotes evidently don't like to eat mice. What was once called the deer tick is now known as the black-legged tick. When the tick was called a deer tick, it perpetuated a false belief that deer alone are responsible for Lyme disease. Scientists have warned that in areas where deer have been hunted, these areas have a larger number of ticks looking for a new host in the absence of deer. This leaves humans and dogs and horses more vulnerable. When the deer population is reduced by as much as 86%, or as low as 9 deer per square mile, the tick numbers do not decline. Remember, deer don't transmit the Lyme bacterium to ticks. The white-footed mice do. Protecting horses from ticks. I have found chickens to be excellent tick eaters. Guinea hens are even better, but they are very noisy and ridiculously independent. Chickens do attract foxes when the foxes get tired of eating white-footed mice. Springtime Inc. is a company that claims its bug-off garlic will provide protection against ticks, as well as flies, mosquitoes, and gnats. Some Biostar customers have reported good success with this product in keeping flies and ticks away. Check your horse's mane and tail daily, as well as head, throat latch, belly, fetlocks, and under the tail. Protecting dogs from ticks. I tried the Seresto collar last year and it worked well for about 4 months. My dogs are in and out of water all summer, so it is not surprising that the Seresto collar, which is supposed to last 8 months, only worked for half that time on my dogs. I have found that Frontline no longer works on my dogs, and evidently this is true for a lot of dogs in New England as well. Customers have told me that Advantix 2 works well as a topical. Dogs Naturally magazine suggests adding apple cider vinegar to the dog's water bowl during tick season. Apple cider vinegar increases acidity of the blood pH, making it less attractive to both fleas and ticks. Add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, Bragg's with the mother brand, once or twice per day. Of course, deticking your dog is essential. If your dog or horse is getting treated for Lyme disease with antibiotics, either doxy or minocycline, it is important to support the immune system in the GI tract. Bovine colostrum provides PRPs that regulate the thymus gland, the master of the immune system. Immune support is very important for animals and humans who contact Lyme. Providing active live probiotics is essential in maintaining a balance of healthy beneficial microorganisms in the GI tract. Make sure you don't give probiotics at the same time you give antibiotics. Separate the probiotics by several hours from the administration of the antibiotics. When the course of antibiotics is over, give an additional 2 weeks of probiotics. Biostar's Bioflora for horses and Terrabiota for dogs are good choices for probiotics that are strong enough to colonize the GI tract. Don't forget the bananas. Bananas are wonderful prebiotic foods for the gut microorganisms. Giving a couple of slices of banana to your dog daily when the dog is being treated for Lyme is a great way to support the existing colonies in the GI tract. For horses, give 1 whole banana without the peel. The 2017 Lyme forecast. According to researchers, this past autumn was a big year for acorns, signaling a rise in the mouse population since acorns are one of their foundation foods. This means that 2017 will see a rise in Lyme-infected mice, which translates into more ticks spreading the disease.
So we are now at Coffee Clatch, and we would like to discuss any success we've had with some of the products that we've talked about since the induction of our show, and just what we've used and what we like. And Jennifer, both Tigger and I want you to go first.
Why do you do this to me?
Because it's
mean.
fun, and we set it up.
Mean.
Yeah. Oh, Tigger.
Let's see. What have we used that we like? Well, the first thing that comes to mind, and I know Glenn mentioned this recently too, is the TheraCalm for dogs.
Mm-hmm.
It's
great.
I have never used the horse product because I do not have a horse that requires that type of supplement. But if it works half as well as it does on dogs, OMG, people, dump the stupid Calm and Cool paste and get it.
And it's that it truly, because I use the TheraCalm on my horse, which, by the way, Tigger, I need that. You can maybe add that to the list. But it makes a major difference.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now I have a question, because we use the TheraCalm for Glory, who is afraid of everything. She's afraid of the universe. So we use it for her. And it says there on the label that if you give 1, or you can give 2, and 2 will tend to, quote, induce sleep. And she does. If we have to give her 2, she just falls asleep, and that's just wake her up 4 hours later. What happens how does it labeled for horses? You give this much and then this much. How does it work for horses?
You give it by a scoop. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people to start with 1 and just see if that's enough. And if not, give 1 twice a day or give 2 at once. There's no, it's funny that it affects the dogs, not in a different way, but more in a tranquilizing way.
I was to say, because don't the dogs metabolize stuff so much differently, though?
Differently.
Interesting. Yeah. So for a horse, I'm just thinking about this because we're going off into a rabbit hole already.
Yeah.
We have we have one horse here at the property who, if you can imagine a 3-month-old foal, what happens when a 3-month-old foal leaves its mommy, or its mommy leaves it?
Has a nervous breakdown.
That's this horse. It's the exact same behaviors. It just loses its mind, crazy, terrified. It will hurt itself in its effort to get back to its friend. It doesn't matter which friend it is. You get rid of that horse, the next friend. It's the same way. And this horse is also afraid of its own shadow. It's just really way at one end. Is this the type of product that could benefit a horse that has those types of behaviors? Because I'm sorry, the other horse has to leave the barn sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
So do you give it, like, the horse is going to leave at 9 a.m. So I give it some at 8 a.m.?
Okay, every horse is going to metabolize this a little differently. So I would probably start the night before.
Okay.
And then the next morning.
Okay.
And you can just give it as needed, like the Theracom Canine.
Yeah, because
You don't
like if
need
we're
to
having
give it every
if
day.
we're having thunderstorms for 24 hours straight, she gets one like we'll give her like one biscuit every 4 to 6 hours,
Yeah.
just to kind of keep her zen. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So that's one of the products. And the other thing I wanted to mention that we talk about a lot on the show that has been hugely fun is citrus for our ponies.
Mm.
Scooter is loving getting his orange every night.
Isn't that funny?
And he gets the orange. We cut it in quarters, and it's just a little orange.
Yep.
And we cut it into quarters, and he sucks it into his little mouth, and he
That's
squishes it all
adorable.
around, and he squishes the juice out of it in his cheeks
Oh, wow.
before he chews it
That's
up.
adorable.
It is so cute, and he's making all these little squishy noises. He squishes it all in, and then he eats it. It's so freaking cute. And sometimes I can get Nigel to eat one. He's a little fussier. But what he'll do is he gets it in his mouth and he squishes it up against the top of the roof of his mouth and then spits it out. He drinks the juice.
Oh
and
my
then spits the
gosh.
rest
Are
out.
you? That's so funny.
Yes. So kale is
So-
next on the treat list. We're going to try some kale.
Ah.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, we're going to try some kale, and I'm going to try it too. So we'll check back in a few more shows and we'll see how that went.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, that's so funny. So Tigger, what do you have?
I am absolutely in love with Warhorse hand soap.
Oh,
too.
that now I know why you asked me that earlier. You're so funny.
That is
You are?
best.
I came home yesterday, got home yesterday from Wellington, and I had brought some down to Wellington, right? So I, used it several times a day because I wash my hands a lot. And I got here and we were out.
Mm.
And in 24 hours, of course, it's colder up here, but my hands are dry and I mean, they just feel awful because I don't
Oh my
have my
gosh.
Warhorse.
Well, you know how to fix that.
Yeah. But
Okay, that's good.
I didn't realize how great it was until I didn't have it. And then I went, whoa.
That's always the case, I think.
Yeah. So, shout out to Warhorse hand lotion. Hand soap. It's simply the best.
Yeah, I like that. Tigger sent me some as a prize, and I used it. And she asked me today. She said, "Well, what do you think of that the hand soap?" And I'm like, "It's gone. It's been gone for like 3 months."
It's the best soap ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And I love it for laundry too. I tried it on the laundry.
Isn't it great? The pure
Oh,
gold.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, because one of my products that I like is the Warhorse shampoo.
Oh, the equine shampoo.
Yeah,
with the dogs
yeah.
in it.
And I
I
haven't done the
know-
dogs yet. We just talked about that. I'm anxious to get my order from you and do the dogs in that
It's
too.
great for the dogs. And actually, one of my customers in Wellington, who will be nameless, she's using it to wash her hair with. And she loves it.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. I mean, that kind of doesn't surprise me. I'm sort of surprised we didn't talk about that before. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
I'm gonna
Okay.
Try that. Well, it works on the horse's hair. Why wouldn't it work on our hair?
Exactly.
Right.
And you
exactly.
know something? The Warhorse, we had some of the shampoo for the horses, and Glenn loves to use what he calls the car wash system. It's the little container, and you attach it to your hose and spray the horse.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we put the Warhorse in there, and we mixed it about, I would say, almost half and half with water so that it would be thin enough to go through the system, and it worked fabulously. And the pony smelled so fresh,
Mm.
and it just melts the dirt. Because normally when you use shampoo, it's those foaming action that really kind of gets rid of the dirt. It kind of works it
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
Warhorse, I don't know how, it melts it.
Uh-huh.
How it works, I don't know why it works. It just does.
And what I love about it is when you're washing a horse or a dog, all that suds that goes into the ground, it's not going to harm it.
Right? Yeah, the suds
It's not
going into
Yeah.
the ground, not so good.
bacteria.
Yeah,
It's beneficial
yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than putting more toxins into it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There you go.
So, Tigger, did you have anything else?
Well, I'm trying a new bra.
Okay.
I found it on Facebook, which seems like a strange place.
No, it doesn't, because I
That's
just
not usually
ordered
where you
free.
shop for bras. No.
It's Third Love. I just looked it up real quick.
Okay, it is Third Love.
Yeah.
And the thing about I have discovered about aging is, at least in my family, is that we get bustier as we get older.
It's the
women,
dumbest.
my
It's so
family.
stupid. Same thing.
And I'm very annoyed by it. I wouldn't mind more on my ass,
Yeah.
but instead it's gone to my chest. So finding a bra that supports and is not something that's digging into my skin, or doesn't give me that uniboob look.
That's not good at it. No. At
It-
any
it's-
age. No.
No. So I found this on Facebook, and I went and I looked at their approach. You actually choose your bra based on the shape of your breasts. And they give you different diagrams. And so I was running in the mirror going, I wonder what I am.
Yeah.
Because I've never looked at my breasts that way, But
Yeah.
there are different kinds of breasts.
Mhm.
So then they give you the recommendation depending on what kind of breasts you have. So it's the new bra is on its way. So I'll
Yeah.
let you
You'll
all-
let me. We'll talk about your boobs next time. All righty. No, it's so funny because being in Houston, that's such a big thing in the summer, being comfortable like that. So I'll be very curious to hear what you say, because I'm always in a search. And I will say the same thing has happened to me as I've gotten older. I mean, after I had Hannah, I was so small, and then it just, and after Ray, and I kept just attributing it to, Ray's 15, I'm still losing the baby weight, even though he's like 5'11" now, but whatever, there you go. Well, anyway, the only other thing that I wanted to mention is we talked last time about different flea and tick things, and I wanted to share that I got the Seresta flea collar. I don't know if you remember, we were talking about that, Jennifer, and I have to tell you, I'm really excited because I feel like it's really working. So that would be one thing that I would recommend for anybody else to try. It is more expensive than normal flea collar. It's like $29. I ordered it as we were, as we were on the air. I wanted to get it right away.
You paid $29 for a Seresto collar?
I think it's like $29.
Yeah.
Is
You
that
paid
right?
$60.
Yeah, I paid
Oh,
wow.
$59.
That's
What?
great. That's amazing. Well,
Oh,
yeah. That's interesting.
no.
Now, is this the first time you've used it?
Yes, because
Okay.
I've never. I mean, I didn't think about using a flea collar. I know that sounds silly, but I just hadn't really thought about it until Tigger mentioned it, and I'm really excited to say that I really think it made a major difference.
Interesting. We used
Major.
it 2 years ago. We had terrible flea problems when we first moved here.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and not to this particular property. The when we first moved to Florida, everything was fine. We had used a spot-on product for our Greyhound for years, and it just worked fine. And the spot-on wasn't quite doing the trick. So we thought, well, we can use the Seresto. And the first Seresto collar we got did great results. Thrilled to death.
Mhm.
Went for 7 months, put a new one on. 3 months later, gee, it's not working so good, get a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have any effect at all, whatever, on the face.
Interesting.
0 results. So I even called the company that makes it. I said, did you change the formula? What's going on here? And had a long discussion on the phone with the customer service people. And they recommended a particular topical product to use in conjunction with the Seresto.
Right.
Which I did, which took care of it. And at that point, I said, let's just go with the topical. And now I'm just back to using just the topical and not the Seresto with it. So it's interesting that you have that experience. It'll be interesting to see if it keeps working, because it was almost as if it's like, okay, the fleas didn't care anymore.
Well, and that does happen. And the one thing I did, because I was having a little bit of a flea problem because the barn was having a flea problem, is I had done my topical Advantix, and they tell you, call the company because you can use them in conjunction.
Yeah.
But I had also given him a flea bath because he was itching and had
Mhm.
some sores on his stomach. And so, I mean, between the two things, it absolutely positively is definitely working better. And I will tell you this, as we were chatting, I wanted to see how much I paid. I went back on Amazon, and the link where I bought mine, they're no longer available, but everything else, the other buying options did say $54.
Yeah, they're
But I'm
expensive.
fairly certain I paid, and maybe that's why it wasn't available anymore, but I thought I didn't think I paid $54, but I may be incorrect about that price. So,
You got a
but
special.
anyway, I maybe, but having said that, to me, it's worth the price because you don't have to put another chemical on your dog.
Exactly.
Well, yes, and it's not like it's every month that it's it lasts several months.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean, you
hope that
figure
keeps
what's
working for you. Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping it does too. And I think if you've got to continue to be like you said, you kind of have to be proactive with everything that you're doing, and you may have to actually use another product or a topical as well. But even if
it's worked great for me. I don't have the flea problem. I'm more tick.
Yeah.
So
you have proper winter there, don't you?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we even though we have a big forest, but I think we still have white-footed mice, and we have foxes, and we have owls, and we have hawks, and we have chickens. But you're gonna get ticks, and it did a great job last year with the ticks.
Well, and I just did the math, and it's $675 a month for 8 months. So even if let's say,
just remember, if you're going to bathe them, take the collar off, because my dogs are in water all the time, and it really reduced its effectiveness.
Yeah.
Right, but also they have reflectors, and like even if it works for 6 months, it's only $9 a month. So I think it's very cost effective. So anyway, those are my picks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, if you have used a product or a whole food that we've talked about here on the Healthy Critters radio show, we would love to hear about it. So go to the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
What's the Facebook page, Tigger?
Healthy Critters
Radio.
There you go. Go to the Facebook page and tell us about it. We want to hear it.
Yep.